me start the. It's new, Mark. Waiting for the restreams to happen. We've got one, we've got two Facebook pages, we've got LinkedIn. We're waiting for YouTube. Come on, YouTube, you can do it. There we go. Okay, let's go to the real show music. Come on, dance with me. Take those moves. Take those moves.
Yep.
Happy birthday. Okay. Celebrate. Special way. Shine. Smile.
We're celebrating you in style.
All right, let's quiet the band down. We only paid them for a couple minutes. I'm Bonnie D here with my special guest co-host. It's Mark M. Morton, if you want to know. Mark, before I read the opening, why don't you tell everybody 2 sentences you get to tell us what you do? Who are you?
Well, for most of my career, I have been an educator, teaching at universities, and I'm going to retire in a couple of months, and then I'm going to devote myself full time to writing. I've written 5 books, and I want to write more.
What genre? What do you write?
Well, the first 4 were nonfiction. The last one was dystopian for young adults. And then one of the nonfiction books was well, a new edition came out. The third edition came out. It's called Cupboard Love, a dictionary of culinary curiosities. And it's about the origins and histories of 1,000 food words.
I love it. I do some of that on one of my Cool Dude show. I look up some of them, some interesting food dishes and the oldest recipes ever
Hmm.
found, and things that we people used to eat that we don't
I
anymore.
know.
So we'll talk more about that. So let me open officially. Here we go. You ready? Pop
Yep.
the confetti, light the candles fast, not near the computer. It's happy birthday to you, August 4th. Let's make it a blast. Bonnie D on her Scarlet Mike and guest co-host Mark M too, dishing celebration gold with our fun POV point of view. From screen icons to million fan social stars who soar, we'll share what they're known for and some pre-fame lore. Plus music history milestones, each a memorable date, wacky holidays you've never heard of, but now you can celebrate. We've got candles and sparklers in the other room, frosting on the cake, a delicious blend only Mark and I could bake. So buckle up, darlings, of fun shows in store. HB2U's lighting up August 4th with glam, bam, and more. Are we ready, Mark? I'm going to
You
get started with
you
events in
bet.
music history. We're going to take turns. Here we go.
Yeah.
1956. I don't even know if Mark was around then. The Platters. My Prayer. I try not to sing, but once in a while I have to. Hit #1 in the US for the first of 5 weeks. What do you got next, Mark?
I've got 1957, so 1 year later, and it was the Everly Brothers. They performed Wake Up Little Susie, which, I can hear in my head. And they performed it on the Ed Sullivan Show. And apparently, I didn't know this, it was one of the more controversial songs ever played on that show because I guess it raised questions for some of the viewers. What were Susie and her date doing before she fell asleep? And I always assumed they were doing chores or homework or something, but
There we go. We got a little bit of a wah-wah there. Okay, hope Ed Sullivan didn't get into too much trouble.
yeah.
1 year later, Bobby Darin. Oh, by the way, wake up, little Susie,
Yep.
wake up. We remember that. Okay, sorry. 1958, 1 year later, Bobby Darin's first hit, Splish Splash. I was taking a bath all around a Saturday night. It reached #3. The song, interestingly, is later used on Sesame Street to encourage kids to get in the tub. Who knew?
That's
Okay.
a great idea. Yeah. In 1958, Billboard combined its 5 chart system, which I guess was made up of sales, jukebox requests, and DJ, and not sure what else. Anyways, they combined them all into the Billboard 100 Master Chart, and then the first #1 on that chart was Ricky Nelson's "Poor Little Fool," which I can also hear.
Poor little fool.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I
I
was a fool. Go ahead.
well, I miss the era of jukeboxes. I mean, they weren't really around even when I was a kid. But sometimes you go into retro restaurants and they're there, and I think that must be
Diners.
such a cool thing. Yeah,
On the
diner.
table, right? On the
Yeah,
table, you
yeah, right,
put the
right.
quarter in. It would everybody was stuck in the diner listening to your
Yeah.
song choice. Yeah. So that's when the Billboard Hot 100 came out,
Yep.
1958.
Yep.
Okay, and that was the same day as Splish Splash reaching number 3. So I
Yeah.
guess it made a splish splash. There you go. In 1964, we're moving way ahead. The Kinks released "You Really Got Me." You really got me. I'm too much is coming back, Mark. In the UK, it had a distorted guitar sound accomplished by taking a razor blade to an amplifier.
Hmm.
And I can't even. It became their first hit, spending 2 weeks at number one on the UK in September 64. And what's
Hmm.
next?
Hmm. I've heard of people using a ham bone, a hollow ham bone on their guitar, especially for blues, but not a razor blade. I hadn't heard of that before.
Oh,
In 1968, at the Newport Pop Festival, Jefferson Airplane was featured, as well as the Grateful Dead and the Animals, and they drew 100,000 visitors, which at that time I think would have been enormous.
phenomenal, phenomenal.
Yeah.
I wonder what the take at the gate was. I wonder what the tickets cost. That would have
Yeah.
been something. And let's fast forward 5 more years to Maureen McGovern, 1973. It has to be the morning after. That was the song from the Poseidon Adventure.
Mhm.
Hit number one in the US for the first of 2 weeks. Okay, you go.
Uh, and the Poseidon Adventure, that was, I think I remember that. I think it had like dozens of sort of B actors in it. Is that the one where it flipped over and sank and people were trying to get out?
Could be
I think
in
so.
the morning after. I think they were looking for the morning or not. Yes, okay.
So the next one, we're sort of getting more into my era, 1984. So the Prince album Purple Rain came out, and that was the film soundtrack for the movie of the same name, and it hit number one for 22 weeks.
22 weeks. Let's
That's pretty
divide
good.
that by four. That's 5 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a keeper. Purple rain. We all remember that. And purple beret, raspberry
Yeah.
beret.
Raspberry
Remember?
beret. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good color.
Yeah.
2017. We're going way fast forward. So 17 and 6. We're going 23 years later. Despacito became the most watched YouTube video ever with 3 billion views in
Hmm.
just 7 months. It passed the video See You Again, which was the Wiz Khalifa Charlie Puth collaboration, and the mark held until 2020 when Baby Shark, da 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 da, Baby Shark, don't even, that earworm took over. So whatever Despacito was, it was 3 billion with a B. Can you imagine, Mark? Can you
That's
even?
that's a third of the, well, I mean, if every person looked at it once, that's a third of the population of the Earth.
I know.
Uh, Pretty amazing.
Yeah, we'll have to go take a look afterwards. And what's the last event you got?
Well, in 2021, so just a few years ago, Forbes declared that Rihanna was the richest female musician, and by far, she had a fortune of 1.7 billion. But this surprised me. It mostly came from her beauty products, a line called Fenty. And that was roughly double what Madonna had. She was number two. But then in 2024, Taylor Swift, she surpassed Rihanna thanks to her lucrative Eras tour sales. And I think the Eras tour just ended recently,
It
6 weeks
did.
ago.
And can you imagine
Mhm.
from cosmetics and from music, $1.7 billion, her fortune. It didn't say that was the gross or the
Yeah,
take at the door for something. It was amassed wealth. Oh my
yeah.
goodness gracious. So we've got Rihanna, Madonna, and Taylor.
Mhm.
Interesting, interesting. So let's go to famous birthdays. We've got a couple here. Today is
Mhm.
August 4th. So Billy Bob Thornton. A lot of people consider him their favorite actor. He is 70. What?
Mhm.
He has
Amazing.
directed, written, and starred in the 1996 feature Sling Blade,
Mhm.
which earned a Golden Globe for Best Actor and an Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. He's also acted in Monsters Ball, Bad Santa, A Simple Plan, Bandits, The Man Who Wasn't There, and Friday Night Lights. He
Mhm.
won in 2015, which is 10 years ago, the
Mhm.
Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Miniseries or TV Movie for his role in Fargo. Very
Mhm.
well known. He's
Mhm.
also a singer-songwriter in his spare time, Mark.
Yeah.
Singer-songwriter, solo albums, and he became the lead singer of a blues rock band called the Boxmasters. Interestingly enough, before he was famous, Billy Bob Thornton worked in telemarketing, one of those people you don't want to hear on your phone, offshore wind farming Can't even imagine. And fast food management. And his first role was in a sitcom, Hearts Afire. And people said, boy,
Hmm.
that man's going to be a star. So there you go.
I can't imagine him in a sitcom because he's always, often plays, pretty crusty
Yeah.
characters,
Yeah.
but
Say no more.
he's an amazing actor, that's for
Yeah.
sure. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
And that face, there's so much expression going on, isn't
Yeah,
there?
and he was married to who was it Angelina Jolie, I think. Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton. Really
Yeah, yeah.
interesting. She
Yeah.
gets around. Okay. Okay.
Well, it's also the birthday of Daniel Dae Kim, who is 57, and he is a Korean American actor, and certainly there's a lot of Korean actors that are coming into the forefront recently. Anyways, he played Jin Soo Kwon in the television show Lost and the CBS show Hawaii Five-O. I had no idea that Hawaii Five-O was rebooted
Oh
in
yeah, a couple
2019.
years ago, and it just ended, I think, a
Oh,
year
is
or
that
two
right? I
ago. Oh
remember
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
first one back in
Oh
the
yeah.
70s.
No, they
Yeah.
brought it back. Go.
Yep. So in 2019, he starred in Always Be My Maybe, and he was listed on TV's Top 100 Sexiest Men in 2011.
My goodness, I wonder what he's been doing for the last 14 years.
Yeah.
Maybe he's still there. Also, we have a young lady having a birthday today. It's Greta Gerwig. She's
Mhm.
42. She's an actress. I remember seeing her in a movie years ago. Screenwriter and film director. She
Mhm.
was listed in 2018 on Time's 100 most influential people in the world.
Mhm.
Mark in the world.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know who writes these lists, but somebody must be, I don't know what the criteria are. As a solo filmmaker, Greta Gerwig wrote and directed coming of age films like Lady Bird, which was applauded by many,
Mhm.
2017, Little Women. That must be a reboot, 2019, and the recent 2023, hard to believe it was that long ago, the fantasy comedy Barbie, which she co-wrote with her husband, who is Noah Baumbach, and co-starred her Columbia University dorm mate, comedian Kate McKinnon, who I know from SNL.
Hmm.
It was the only film from a solo female director to gross, here we got that number again, $1 billion plus worldwide.
Hmm.
I I can't even. Did you watch Barbie, by the way? Did you
Just
see it?
recently, like 2 months ago, I
What'd you
enjoyed it.
think? Yeah, I
Yeah.
watched it. It was, yeah,
I
it
wouldn't
was pretty.
rewatch it, but I
No, I
enjoyed it.
wouldn't either. I liked America Ferrara. I liked some of her parts
Mhm.
in there. I thought it was interesting. A little hard to take all the pink, but
Yeah.
there you go. I'm a
One of my favorite movies she wrote and starred in, I'm not sure if she directed it. It's called Frances Ha. I think it might have been one of her early ones, but it's amazing. So touching and beautiful.
nice. And also Greta Gerwig was performing with Kate McKinnon in the Columbia University Varsity Show.
Oh.
So these ladies were out there doing their thing very, very early on. I don't have a year for that. Today we have two in memoriam birthdays. Louis
Hmm. Hmm.
Armstrong. Born in 1901, passed in 1971. He was just barely almost 70 years old. Jazz singer and trumpeter born in New Orleans, they call it. He's the father of jazz. And interestingly enough, at the age of 63, Mark, he replaced the Beatles at number one on, we're back to the Billboard Hot 100 chart
Yeah.
with Hello, Dolly. He was the oldest person at that time to hit number one. He was a formative figure in the jazz world. He popularized social improv and scat singing.
Hmm.
At age 66, now remember, he died at 69, almost
Yeah.
70. At 66, he recorded What a Wonderful World, his best known song. Interestingly enough, before he got famous, he was a paper boy and he sold food that he salvaged to restaurants.
Hmm.
And he learned how to play by ear the trumpet
Hmm.
from somebody named Bunk Johnson when Louis was 11 and he had dropped out of school. And Bing Crosby was influenced by Louis Armstrong's song
Hmm.
Up the Lazy River.
Hmm.
Interesting history. He
Yeah,
was,
I've read too, that his unique voice, like that kind of gravelly voice,
yep.
that was a result of when he was a paper boy and he would shout, on corners, extra, extra, so loudly that he actually damaged his vocal cords, and that's what gave him that gravelly voice.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough. And you've got an in memoriam for us. Who've you got?
I do. Louis Vuitton, who lived from 1821 to 1892, which would have made him basically about 70. And he was the founder of the Louis Vuitton leather products, and that became one of the biggest fashion houses in the world. In fact, he was chosen by Napoleon the Third's, not the first big Napoleon, but by Napoleon III's wife, the Empress of France, Eugénie de Montijo, to be her personal box maker. I don't have a personal box maker myself. Um,
I,
and
I
her
don't know what they
personal
were putting in the boxes. Can you imagine?
clothes, I guess.
I guess.
And before he became famous, he became one of Paris's premier box makers and packers after hiking 292 miles to the city as a teenager. So he must have really wanted to get to
He
Paris.
did. Let's give a round of applause for our birthday celebrants. That's really, really some. Okay, all right. Quiet down, kids. Quiet down, kids. Okay, that's fine. I don't know whether they're cheering for Louis Vuitton or for. Oh, they're both Louis. One is
Hmm.
Louis and
Oh
one
yeah.
is Louis. Louis Vuitton, Louis Armstrong. I didn't
Hmm.
realize that. Okay, now we're going to go on to our social media star birthdays. These are interesting. And just so you know, Mark, they need to have at least 1.5 million fans, followers, or subscribers
Hmm.
on their primary platform in order to get on my birthday list. So here we go. On YouTube, we have a young lady named Jackie Aina. She's 38 today. She has 3.4 million subscribers. She is a makeup and beauty guru. She's also a U.S. Army veteran, which is interesting.
Hmm.
And she's a licensed cosmetologist, from the Vidal Sassoon Academy. And she has a lifestyle brand called Forever. It's supposed to be forever. Forvr. Happy birthday, Jackie. And who have you got, Mark?
I have, well, an Instagram star. Her name is Lottie Tomlinson, and she is 27, and she has 4.8 million subscribers. And she is the makeup artist and sister of the One Direction singer. Well, it's another Louis,
Louis.
uh, or maybe it's Louis, Louis Tomlinson. And she sells self-tanning products. One of them is called Tanologist. And she also released the book Rainbow Roots. And then the subtitle is a hashtag Make Up by Me. And that was back in 2017.
Good for her. Happy birthday, Lottie. And then we have another young lady named Tessa Bear, Bear. Her real name is Twaresa, Toireasa McGuire. She's 25 today. She has 6 million fans. So she's the fanniest, the person with the most fans. I didn't say that. She does music well, appropriately, musical and comedy lip sync videos and tutorials showing her fans how to edit their own videos. I bet that's really something interesting. How to
Mm-hmm.
edit. A lot of people want to know. And you've got one more for us.
Yeah, another TikTok star, Lily Garcia. She's 26. She has 25 million followers and this is almost bizarre to say, 1.3 billion likes.
Hold on. 25 million followers and 1.3.
Billion.
Is there a counter that goes that high on
And
these things?
I don't know, maybe there's somebody in a back room just doing it manually.
And click, click, click at the door. What does she post?
Well, she's posts comedy and storytelling videos. And I like this because our family has four dogs. Her dog often plays a significant role in her videos.
Isn't that wonderful? You think we need some more applause today? Let's do a whistle here. Okay, there we go. Oh, the phone's ringing, not on the show. We don't take phone calls. Okay, let's go to national holidays. We've got two today. I'll start off with the first one, and I think you and I are going to need this after we do all of these shout outs here. It's National White Wine Day. In 4100 BC, the oldest winery was found in a cave in Armenia trace back to this period of 4100 BC. By 460 BC, wine was being consumed. I thought that was an interesting word in the history, Mark, not imbibed or drunk or enjoyed or served. It was consumed in Europe, and the Greek physician Hippocrates prescribed wine to his patients. What's the next part of our story here?
Well, we go up to the second century BC, and that's when white wine, which of course is dry wine, was introduced to the Roman world. This happened as the Romans adopted winemaking techniques from the Greeks. And they had established vineyards in Sicily and southern Italy. And this eventually led to large-scale vineyard operations and a more sophisticated wine industry within the Roman Empire.
Interesting. And I have some information on the most famous Roman wines. They were called Albanum,
Mhm.
Calenum, and Falernum. I don't know the origin of the NUM suffix there, each with its own characteristics and reputation. And this is according to Carpe Diem Tours. I guess
Mhm.
they're taking people around to the old Roman wine cellars.
Yeah, seize
Okay.
the day tours.
Yes.
Um, well, wine was also featured at expensive banquets as a sign of prestige. I guess it still is. Romans began to produce less sweet wine as they conquered, most of the world, and they grew vines in territories in the north. And they introduced the concept of drinking cool wine in the summer, warm wine in the winter. And I know too that they are the ones who introduced winemaking into England. Um, which still happens there. You can grow grapes in England, to my surprise when I learned about
Interesting. Now they need some really good food to go with it. I
it.
digress. In the
Yeah.
16th century, white wine popularity had spread. They didn't say they spilled. It had spread from Europe to the Americas and the Americas, broad brush. Vines were planted in Mexico, in Peru, in Bolivia, in Argentina, and Chile. So we're talking the southern part of
Mhm.
Americas. Go ahead.
Yeah. So in 1697, that's when bubbly wine arrived. The French monk Dom Perignon invented champagne, and that became the drink of choice for the elite. And champagne legally can only be produced in the Champagne province of France, which has unique soil due to its sloping hillsides.
I'm going to give a See, she's gasping because she didn't know that. She comes along on some of these shows with me. In 1811, a bottle of Chateau d'Yquem, D apostrophe YQUEM, that would be great in Wordle or in
Scrabble.
Scrabble. I think it would be great. From that year, 1811, sold for $117,000 in 2011. So the wine was 200 years old.
Mhm.
It was the most expensive bottle of white wine ever. Did you buy it, Mark? You the
It
one?
wasn't me. It wasn't
Okay,
me.
I just
I've
was
I've
wondering.
heard that sometimes, they buy these very old bottles of wine for enormous sums still, and it doesn't taste good. It's gone sour or bad.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Well,
Terrible.
it's a lottery. In 1857, the first commercial California winery was established. It was called Buena Vista Winery. Yeah, and that's when it was founded, 1857.
Very interesting. And let's move to the 20th century. Vines were introduced to new places, and technological developments changed winemaking throughout the world. So I think we should say, I'll drink to that. Should we say
Hmm.
that?
Hmm.
And now, I
I was
think,
just going to say, including near where I live, near Niagara on the Lake and Niagara Falls, there's a lot
mhm.
of winemaking around there.
Interesting. And we all know California is very famous
Hmm.
for its wineries and wine tours. And I lived on Long Island for many years, and you could go out to the East End and spend a day going winery
Hmm.
hoppering. If you had too many wines, you were hoppering. And they had tasting rooms, and you would go in, and they would offer you whatever their wine of the day or their selections were, gave you a
Hmm.
little glass and then a spittoon or a vase
Yeah,
or something to
just
pour the
fit it.
wine in between, and then you were shown the sales room. Sometimes they took you into the actual winery production, and you could see how they were. You saw the casks, and you saw
Hmm.
all the
Hmm.
all of the fancy equipment they were using, and then of course you were expected to buy quite a few bottles or cases afterwards, but we always did. So the question was, who's driving to the next winery? I have a very low tolerance, so after two or three, oh, that was really good. Bob, you're driving. I didn't know Bob, but he drove anyway. Okay, so now we've made life very complicated with all of this. So what's our next holiday this week, Mark? What have you got?
It's Simplify Your Week. And in the 18th and 19th century, that's when stress, the word stress, was first used in the physical sciences, like in terms of things, bending things and stuff like that. So it was like sort of an engineering and physics term.
Simplify Your Life. Interesting. In 1887, moving ahead, Edward Carpenter wrote an essay called Simplification of Life, and it popularized the phrase simple life. I
Hmm.
didn't know it was a phrase, but go ahead, take us to
Yeah,
the
that's sort
next.
of around the same time as Thoreau, moved to Walden and wanted to people to live a much more simple life.
Yes, I was going to
Anyways, in
say on
19
Golden Pond, but I'm in the wrong era. I'm thinking. Go ahead.
Anyways, in 1946, that's when stress began to be used as a psychological term by Hans Selye after his medical training at the University of Montreal, where he noticed that no matter what his hospitalized patients suffered from, they all looked sick. In his view, in his opinion, they were all under physical stress. So, in his paper, which was called General Adaptation Syndrome, he proposed that stress was a non-specific strain on the body. It was caused by an irregularity in normal body functions,
Hmm,
and that led to a release of the stress hormone with three stages. And he named them the first one alarm reaction, and then resistance, and then exhaustion. And to date, this is still one of the most popular stress theories.
there we go. Now, there was a abbreviation for the title of his paper. Do you want to read what
Oh
that was?
yeah, yeah. General Adaptation Syndrome. The short form was GAS. So
So you have a lot of stress you've got. Never mind. Okay. I'm sorry, I had to do that. In 1946, for 30 years, 1946 to 76, researchers, I don't know who they were, but listen, they conducted experiments and discovered four common elements that can trigger a physiological stress response in humans, whatever the specific stressors were. And you're going to love the name of this. So there's novelty, which is an N, unpredictability, which is a U, threat to the ego. Oh, no, don't do that. That's a T. And sense of control. My therapist just told me that's what I need, sense of control. It formed the acronym NUTS. You're just nuts. However, it's also been flipped around and it's called the stun theory. So that would be sense of control first, then threat to the ego, then unpredictability, and finishing with novelty. So which would you prefer, to be nuts or stunned?
I prefer stun, I think.
Okay. I think I've been called both. Been called stunning too. There you go. And you have one more fact for us. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so today, nowadays, a focus on decluttering physical and psychological aspects of life to reduce stress and improve well-being. That's all the rage. The goal is to create more space for what truly matters by eliminating unnecessary things and activities, examine your lifestyle choices, and eliminate things that cause unnecessary stress, anxiety, or fatigue. Easier said than done. I
Yes,
mean,
I think
it's
just
hard to do that.
it's hard to be just thinking about all those beautiful birds out in the trees waking me up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Mark, when is your birthday?
December 31st.
Oh my goodness gracious. You want to come
Yeah.
on the show that day? If it's, let's see what day
Sure,
it is.
sure.
Let's see.
Um,
It's
my my parent my parents used to say that I wasn't a New Year's baby who got, special gifts, but I was a really good tax write-off because they could write me off for the whole year, even though I only existed for one day in it.
There you go. Well, you'll come back and hopefully before then, I hope you've had a good time and it's time for us to bring this home. So let's
Okay,
go.
great.
Don't go away. We'll talk.
Sure.
Let's get those dance moves going again. I'm Bonnie D. This is Mark M. We've had a lot of fun. If it's your birthday, celebrate. Send us a note. Email, Pony Express, Pigeon. I don't care. And we'll wish you a happy
Telegraph.
birthday next time. Helicopter,
Special way, party shine.
Facebook, LinkedIn,
Mail.
Celebrating you
text. I don't have my number. I got to bring my drumsticks in next time. We're just going to go out now. Bye bye.